Hi there, it's real estate coach Josh Vegan, and welcome to this week's coaching tip. So how do you put the nail in the coffin on the disruptors? And this is one of my favorite coaching tips because today we're going to really talk about disruption and what it actually means. You see, disruption only occurs if there is widespread customer adoption. And so a great example of a disruptor in modern technology has been the advent of the mobile phone. It fundamentally changed everything in terms of our relationship with our bank, our healthcare providers, our friends, our social environments, how we communicate, and what it is that most of us do most of the time. And so all of a sudden, that's been a significant disruptor. Now, what you see happen inside of the real estate industry is that all of a sudden someone rebrands and they change their logo, and all of a sudden they're a disruptor to the industry. Now, changing the price point at which you deliver the service does not actually mean that you deliver the same service. Now, I love seeing this where people say, hey, we are a full service firm at a quarter of the price. Well, there is a reason why you need to have your fees set at a certain level, and that's called profitability. And profitability is a really important thing because a business that has profit, and I just don't mean okay profit, I mean obscene profit, actually has the ability to invest in the resources to make it a much better customer experience, to adopt new technologies in the way that they go to handle the consumer experience, to ensure a much smoother and easier sales process. So what you want to consider is that when someone comes out and says that they're a disruptor, let's remove that term for a moment and actually fundamentally ask what is it they're actually going to be doing for the customer. Now, what's ultimately happened in the real estate industry over the course of the last couple of years is that most of the disruptors have been about helping real estate agents to be more successful in terms of earning a higher percentage of the fee. But yet, when you go to have a look at it, the actual cultural background around training and resources and all of the things that they go to provide are less or non-existent compared to what actually happens in most real estate firms. Now, whilst that's not ultimately fair because there are plenty of full fee service firms that also don't provide those resources, there are a number of standout firms, both franchise, boutique and independents, who are very clear about the offering of what they provide to their internal customers, being their sales team and their property management team. Now, what I'm going to get you to really think about is that a new brand does not actually mean that they've actually produced a much better customer experience. And ultimately, what you want to think, if you want to put the nail in the coffin of the disruptors, don't pay any attention to them, change the way that you're going to go and work with your customer. Now, here's a great example of this. You might have noticed recently that BP, one of the largest service stations in Australia, have actually changed the technology on how you go to buy petrol. So you drive into the BP service station, you open up the BP app on your phone, it recognizes what BP service station you're at, and then you then choose the pump number that you're at. Let's say you're at pump number 7. As soon as you jump out of your car, pump number 7's already on. You fill your car with petrol, and then as soon as you put that back into the holster and then go to lock up your petrol tank, you then jump back into your car, and during that time, it's already charged your credit card and sent the email to you to advise of the tax invoice for you going to fuel up at BP for your petrol. Now, this is a significant disruptor, and because what actually now happens is it changes the consumer trends. You're now no longer going to go and walk into the convenience store, and therefore you're probably not going to buy the chocolates or the chewing gum or any of the other things that go on inside of those stores. So could this be the reason, for example, that Woolworths is trying to do a massive deal with BP for them to buy back all of their service stations? So then that way Woolworths may no longer be in the convenience store business because they've maybe realized that the consumer might no longer be going into the convenience store. You see, this is what we actually talk in terms of true disruption. A disruptive technology that actually substantially improves the customer experience, but actually fundamentally changes the entire way that we go to do work. So here's a future prediction. Could it be that those service station stores actually end up being huge convenience machines where you ultimately walk in, you put in your credit card, you choose what you want, and it just comes directly out of the vending machine? And if that's actually the case, then maybe the new jobs is that someone's going to be involved in having to go from site to site to site around that particular area and stock up the vending machine to make sure that it's got the latest and greatest of whatever it is that you're trying to buy at the service station. You see, this is what actually happens. Technology changes the way that we interact with things, but ultimately what we do as great real estate agents is we put the human into service. That's the care, that's the empathy, that's the skill set, that's the knowledge, and that's the advice that fundamentally improves the customer experience. So before someone else calls themselves a disruptor, whether or not it's Jim's real estate or your real estate, let's get really clear. It's ultimately what you do for the customer and how you significantly change what happens in the community that then forces an industry-wide change for you to adapt to. I really look forward to seeing you in next week's coaching tip.